Welcome, everyone, on a very, very special edition. One of our Facebook Live feeds here that we have going on here, especially on this great day, Veterans Day. Kind of always going back, recognizing our veterans, which give us the freedom that we have. And I couldn't be more thankful for the guests that I have here today. My name is Marc Summers. I'm the president of AIME. And trust me, what I'm about to say is I'm so excited for this interview that I'm about to do here. We're going to go over basically VettedVA, how to educate brokers and realtors about VA loans and overcoming realtor and client objectives. So first, before we get started here, I have a great group of guests here. What I'd like to do, if possible, is I'll introduce you and give us a little minute rundown on you, and then we'll start diving into it. So first off, I have Cat Gorman. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thank you.
Well, give us a little bit about yourself.
I'm retired Navy, 20 years, and now realtor. And 99% of my clients are military, and I'm all about saving them money and getting them the best deal and getting them into the right house.
Perfect. Well, thank you for your service. Next, we have Christopher Griffith. Tell us a little bit about you.
Hopefully a lot of the people on here know a little bit about me. I'm 35. I was a Marine for 8 years. Own a mortgage company now. VettedVA is a community focused on improving the circumstance of veterans by focusing on education with the professionals and holding those accountable that serve or claim to serve vets in a few different fashions. So love and life, and that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, pretty sure a lot of people know you, buddy. But I'm really excited to hear what you have to say about this. So next, we'll go with Brian Dix. Brian, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, everybody. Spent 8 years active duty in the Marine Corps, still in the reserves, coming up on 20 years on that. So ready to be done, complete. But I've been in the industry for about 3 years now, working at a mortgage brokerage in Southern California. And it just turns out that a lot of my clients happen to be veterans. I'm just happy to share any lessons learned, a little bit about some of the ways we do things, and happy to be here. Thanks.
No, thanks. And all three of you, thank you for your service. Can't thank you enough for that, especially on this day. I'm just, like I said, I'm excited for this because I know you guys are a great guest, but secondly, I really want to dive into this VA. You know what I mean? Like, I think some people get scared about it. Some people don't know about it. Obviously, I joined the wholesale channel in 2001. I've done my fair share of VA deals, but I know there's a lot that I don't know. So I'm really excited about this. So let's just jump right into it. So Chris, I'm going to let you start this off here since you're kind of back in this whole vetted VA. What do vets need to know to protect themselves and how to properly use their entitlement?
I would say the first thing veterans need to know is as soon as a professional tells you do not use or you should not use your VA loan, that should be a flag right off the bat. So if you've heard that from one of them, I'll stop, come over to VettedVA and ask your question there, because odds are, in everything that I've seen and all of the loans that I've been a part of personally or a company and everything else I've worked, 99% of the time you need to be in a VA loan for a lot of different reasons outside of it being the most cost effective. Second to that, you need to shop. You need to shop with different types of companies. A lot of you are going to be drawn like moths to lights at night to some of the biggest VA or veteran-focused marketing companies out there because they do an exceptional job of poising themselves on a hill so that you can see them and showing that they're the experts in the space, or they're making that claim at least. And a lot of them even provide good, valid content on their website. But the problem is, a lot of the times you don't know how to apply that content to your specific circumstance. You don't want to press 2 or 12 or whatever buttons you have to get to find the first person in the chain of events that you're going to need to speak to, and you want a quick answer. And so that's, again, a place where we have it set up. So when you're shopping and you're finding those different offers out there, right, you're going to be getting loan estimates, and you want to compare specifically box A. That's where a lot of the lender-specific items are going to show up, and you're going to be able to compare them with the overall rate, box A, and then the kind of the closing picture down there. You're going to be able to see exactly how those people stack up against each other. And you want to do that on the same day, just to throw that out there too, because keep in mind, the market's changed a lot. And here lately, with all of the election stuff going on, wherever you sit on all that, it's been kind of crazy. You're an overboard fan, like it's been a hell of a day at sea, sir. You want to shop? You want to ask questions. You want to know what to look for. And when you aren't sure, you want to know who to go to ask. That makes an expert. An expert's not somebody who possesses every answer. It doesn't exist. An expert's somebody who knows where to go to confirm every answer, right? And Vetted is a community to do that for you. So, yeah. Does that answer your question, Mark?
No, I absolutely love it. And I'd love to get Brian's view on this too, coming from that same side.
I just saw him smile for the first time. He said he was happy to be here earlier, and I didn't call him out. I think it's nerves. He hasn't done any public speaking in a while.
Oh, you know what's funny is put me on a stage in front of 400 people, I'm fine. I read the audience. There's something about a camera that just makes me want to shove my hands in my pocket and hang out in the corner over here. So I don't know what it is, but yeah. So you guys get to see me in my comfort zone here. No, I think that Chris is bringing up a lot of points about how the consumer needs a I hate to use this phrase, but a safe place to go to ask information about their VA loan or their VA benefits, because there is a wealth of knowledge out there that's available online, whether they're put out by other mortgage companies or just bloggers or whatever. But this information changes often. The VA puts out circulars that change certain aspects of the VA loan, or they'll put out updated chapters to the VA lenders pamphlet, the 26-7. So I think it's important for those that specifically either claim to do VA loans regularly or that do a lot of VA loans. I think it's up to them to be up to date on this information and to be able to pass that information off to the consumer in an accurate fashion. So I just remember not too long ago, there was an issue that came up where somebody was asking about a VA appraisal, and they pointed out on one of these websites where it says the appraisal stays with the property for a VA loan. And that's not true. That was incorrect information. And it was pointed out, and we were able to get the veteran the correct information. And then the VettedVA moderator was able to reach out to that mortgage company and let them know. And I believe they pulled that information down. So I think
everything on the internet's not true.
Most of it is. So, but yeah, but one of the biggest hurdles that I think we overcome though is that trust issue. So, you know, when my wife and I bought our first house on the VA loan, I was going in there blind. I wasn't in the industry. I thought, you know, I had a good feeling about the person that was doing our mortgage, but I just walked in there and I said, okay, where do I sign? How much do I owe? And what's my monthly payment? And that was the extent of what I felt like I needed to know. Well, when you're signing loan docs in a stack that's this thick, there's a little bit more that you need to know than just those three items. So I think that the mortgage industry as a whole, 12 years ago, has gotten a really got beat up in popular culture and in the media. And that was my only perception really of the industry prior to coming over into it myself. So yeah, I think it's important that we build that trust with the consumer or with the person. And most of the time that's built by giving correct information with no expectation of any type of reciprocated business or whatever. So yeah, we're just there strictly to be an information source. And I think that's important.
Perfect. Now, Catherine, you're a realtor. Every originator loves to hear your viewpoint on this. So go ahead.
For protecting themselves, I always tell my clients to shop around, and it's important. It's very important. And some of them don't realize it. And I've been there too. You know, I've owned 2 homes. We went with our regular bank because, hey, it's our regular bank. It's all military friendly. Of course, they're going to have the best rates. And then the second time went with big lender that's all in your face. And yeah, the customer service was great, but it wasn't until I was a realtor and one of my brokers was like, hey, make sure you get a loan estimate and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, whatever. And then when I would start comparing them with clients, I was blown away. And it made me angry actually, because I'm like, how much money have I wasted doing refis with just whatever banks, just going with this one because of the name. And, it's money that thousands of dollars that I could have saved, that anyone can save. And it's super important for our active duty folks who are buying every 3 years in a different place. You don't want to spend any extra money. You don't need to spend 1% in origination fee on top of your VA funding fee, because you're just digging that deeper hole.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great. No, I mean, and trust me, yeah, there's a lot of sharks out there, and I'm glad that we're having this conversation to alleviate those sharks per se, because I've personally seen it, and it one, it just blows my mind that it's happening on a loan period, because that's what I do. But then number two, to do it to a veteran, that just boils my blood even more. So no, well, thanks guys. So all right, Brian, what do brokers need to know on how to protect, to protect vets and the loans as a benefit?
I think some of the key points that are helpful is not being scared of the VA Lender's Guide. I mean, that is an information source that is available to us, and it's also available to underwriting. That's what the lenders are going to build most of their overlays and things on. So you go to that first to see if it's even possible. And then after that, then you go to your lender to make sure there's no specific overlay for whatever situation or hurdle you may come in. So we all know every transaction has its own unique set of, I don't want to say issues, but own unique character. And so I think it's important to know where to go for that information. Use the VA's website. It is an information tool. And beyond that, then use your lender's websites. One of the important parts of this pamphlet is understanding, don't be afraid of the types of fees that can and can't be charged. I can't tell you how many times I get questions from either other LOs in my office or even realtors saying, what are the non-allowable fees? Or, what can we charge here and what can't we charge here? And so there's this major misconception out there that, I've been in the industry 3 years. Maybe this is before my time, but I've had conversations with realtors on the listing side saying, I don't want to have to pay the veterans non-allowable fees. I'm saying, what are you talking about? You don't have to. And so that saved a transaction. This guy was not going to accept this transaction because it was a VA loan and he didn't want to pay the non-allowables. And so luckily I was able to educate him. And now that realtor refers VA clients to me. So I'm sorry, Chris, what were you going to say?
I always reply to that with, what non-normal fees are you getting ready to try to charge my veteran borrower?
Yeah.
That usually stops them in their tracks.
Absolutely. But no, I think it's important to not be scared of it. I think that's the biggest thing is, even with there's LOs in my office that have 30, 40 years of industry experience, which is insane. And I've learned so much from them, but then they'll come to me with VA questions. And in a way, I kind of feel, that, hey, that's kind of cool. But also it just shows me that no matter how much experience you have in the industry, you're still learning, especially if it's something that you're not doing every day. And for whatever reason, I think VA loans, I think they scare people sometimes because they're worried about them not being able to get them through. So
it's intimidating. They don't know where to go to get the answer. Remember what I said about being an expert. These loan officers come to you with all of that experience, and they could probably do the same to Catherine now as well with with what you learn and how you learn to troubleshoot that source of information that is the handbook. But the reality is you're doing the same thing every single time when they come to you. And I know because I do it when everyone tags me. It's like, I love y'all, but I'm driving. I can't thumb through the handbook and tag you. And it's in there. And there's 12 examples on all of your questions, but it's all there, but they do not know how to. They become licensed and you give them a loan, a VA loan, and it's like handing them a rifle and you're like, there you go. And they're like, it's an assault gun.
Yeah. No.
Look at the size of the clip.
Keep it down range.
Right. And so that's, I think, the artful piece. And Catherine, I'm going to get I'd love your opinion on this, but the artful piece behind how we educate and test with VettedVA, we literally cause you to encounter that truth, which is their number one fear, is how to go to the source and figure it out for myself quickly and efficiently, because they don't want to spend a week there. And we create so much failure around that event that they learn how to troubleshoot it incredibly well. So much so even that we find that our real estate agents that go through our testing now as moderators, and even in the chat dialogues that we all have behind the scenes as we're troubleshooting things as a community, they offer as much knowledge and value up as a lot of the loan officers half the time, because once you know the information, you've gone through it, and you know how to get to it, it's quick and easy.
Perfect. Well, Catherine, I'm gonna let you know right now, this next question's coming towards you, and I'm gonna set you up here. Obviously, we know what AIME does. Be ready. So we obviously know what AIME does, and what I'm passionate about is the broker and that wholesale channel. Okay, absolutely passionate about it. I think from the bottom up, we get better rates, lower closing costs, better service, and I could go on and on and on about this. But Catherine, why is it beneficial for veterans to work with brokers? I'm gonna let you start this one off, and I'm gonna make sure everyone answers this question.
So why is it important? Because they can shop around multiple lenders and get the best deal. I've seen it, I tell my clients, I'm like, I know it is a pain, but go out, get pre-approved through however many people you want to, get loan estimates, compare them apples to apples, and just see what everybody can offer, because this is saving you thousands of dollars in the long run. And I've seen it firsthand, just looking at them or walking them through their loan estimates, how much brokers can save. Sometimes you can get credits without even charging any extra points, and it's crazy. And some of it, can save a deal when you're coming down to the wire. They don't have enough money for closing costs, or something happens, especially now in this cutthroat market. Buyers are paying over asking, they're paying their own closing costs, and being able to shop around and still get a great deal and lender credits that aren't gonna, that are gonna be worth it. I think that's why going the broker route is great.
Yeah, I always tell all my clients, I represent 11 different banks. You know what I mean? So why wouldn't you go to me? I'm going to get you the best rate. So no, that's great. Chris, what's your take on this?
I have more of a less popular opinion here. I've never been I don't talk about rates until I find companies doing the things that y'all all heard me talk about in the beginning that are just egregious, literally hammering and harming vets with what they're doing. Price is a big one. Cost is a big one, obviously, though you can't deny the data there. But my bigger opinion is optionality, especially with a purchase or even with a refinance. What I find is at our company, we're approved, I think, with 30-something lenders. It's stupid. Casa would punch me in the teeth if he saw my business plan. Right now, I think we have loans with 12 different active lenders, and I don't like about 7 of them at all. But with my previous job, what I've learned is sometimes you have to work with people that you don't necessarily like perfectly to accomplish a goal for a person when you have a very specific mission. And for VettedVA, our mission is so singularly purposed on the veteran consumer's plight that sometimes your sources are not good people, right? Right. Like there's a piece there where the optionality that I have as a broker, and I helped my family build a bank with non-delegated and then delegated, and they're working to become seller servicers still. But the optionality that I have as a broker is everything, because now when the veteran says, but this, or this, or this, all of these random things, or this overlay comes in. Here's the truth. Veterans, you're all snowflakes. And what I mean by that, not that you melt easily, but you're all incredibly unique, perfectly unique. And getting you a mortgage is very similar to that. The more companies I have that offer options that allow certain things where others may not, the likelier I am to give you the more options, right? The guy with the most options, at the end of the day is usually the one that wins. And that's what being a broker allows me. It affords me the opportunity to be perfectly focused on your needs and motivations and pursue all of the different opportunities that solve that, and then help you to sort and choose which best serve your needs, because I expect that you know those better than even you're able to tell me. And so being a broker gives me that liberty. If I'm at a retail company, guys, and I can broker loans too, you know why I don't broker loans? Because I've invested a lot in my warehouse line and it's more profitable for me. That's the truth. It's not a bad thing, and some of them may compete a little bit better. But what I mean to say is that line is a lot smaller funnel than being a broker. And that line, that warehouse line, even outside of the VA guidelines, is going to control what you can do. And so what you do then when you're stuck in those places where you can only originate these loans in this box is you invariably get to situations where you just can't help the people that are coming to you to need help. And I got sick of being there. And and so for me, that's what it's about. It's about having complete liberty to pursue the consumer's needs and goals above all else, and ensuring that I have the options that are able to achieve that in the most cost-effective manners possible.
As I've always said, put the consumer first. Everything else falls into place.
And besides, how many retail lenders have you ever seen with a beard like this? It doesn't happen.
Let me think. None. Absolutely not. Brian, what's your take on it? Why is it better to go broker? Hey, Brian, what's your take on this? Why is it better to go broker?
I mean, it's kind of hard to follow up Chris's thing here, but it really, to me, I personally experienced it in seeing the advantages of it with clients. So when I first came into the industry, I was brought over to help manage an office before I had any industry experience. So I didn't know the difference between mortgage broker and retail. That's not why I came over here. I came over here as in the manager aspect in the beginning. But as I learned more about the different advantages just as a mortgage broker. We're part of the community. So a lot of times we have clients in our office all the time, and they love that. They love to be able to come in and see the same person whenever they come back every time. They're not getting cycled through different people on a phone center or a different rep in their bank. And so that was one of the big things that I noticed. It felt a lot more personal and a lot more family oriented. But one of the biggest things is absolutely, I mean, of course, pricing is a big one. So kind of like Chris, I mean, we're approved with too many lenders for our office, I feel like. But it gives us that advantage of when we're working with somebody, whether it's a veteran or a regular client, then we're able to search and price with these multiple different lenders, but also managing the expectation that, hey, if we go over here, we're going to be looking at X amount of days on a time frame, or if we go over here, we're going to be looking at this. Whereas they may not get that on their one-stop shop whenever they're calling their mortgage servicer asking to refinance or get their pre-approval for their next home. So they're just kind of stuck with what they get. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten a call from somebody saying, yeah, this bank, they're taking too long. It's 60 days now or 90 days, they're telling me. So that's a big one. But the pricing, yeah, I had one veteran that was coming from one of the big banks, and he just wanted a second opinion. And he was nervous at first because he's dealing with somebody that wasn't that experienced in a call center for this mortgage lender, or actually it was a bank. And they told him not to let anybody else run his credit. And I can't stand that. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to somebody. They say, yeah, but my other LO said, don't let anybody else run my credit. And I'll ask them when the date is on that. And we all know that they've got a time period where we can do multiple checks and it's not going to hurt them. So building that trust. And then after I ended up giving them a second opinion, we were over a full percentage lower on the rate and even lower on the closing costs. And he was shocked. He didn't understand how it was that much better. And I explained to him, I said, look, it's not always like this, but in most cases, it usually is. So there are certain instances where, unfortunately, somebody if they're looking to refi even on a Streamline and Earl, then if they have any type of credit issues or something, and maybe we're not able to do the loan, sometimes it is more advantageous for them to call their servicer. And I'm not afraid to tell them to do that if we've reached a point where we can no longer help them, because I do believe in looking after the client. And so some past clients of mine, they ran into some trouble and they started forbearance before first off, they refied with their servicer, and then they started forbearance before they even made their 210 days of payments, and they hadn't resumed those payments yet. And we didn't have a bank that was able to do that. But I asked them, I said, reach out to your current servicer and see what they're able to do. And they sent me everything. I was able to give it a quick quality check for them. I have no problem doing that because I want to make sure they're not getting handed all these fees and everything. And it's going to end up saving them almost $400 a month. And so knowing that they were already in a bad position, but then they do have a way out there, I was at least happy that I was still able to serve them, even though there was no financial incentive for us. But I know that it's always important to maintain that relationship. Not only is it the right thing to do, but also whenever you make a name for doing stuff like that, then it just helps your reputation. It helps referrals come in and things. So.
Perfect. All right. I'm you know, we go ahead.
Quick to throw it in, Kat, and I'm sure you've seen it too. That's actually a function VettedVA provides. A lot of the veterans come in there and they'll post their loan estimates as a comment. We don't approve those because there are identifiable points of interest and information that are connected to them in their Facebook account, right? But we troubleshoot and offer them opinions on it, truthful opinions. We tell them when they're good. We tell them when there's things that they need to check. And there's never a push or a motivation to sell or solicit. Again, it's just a fact-finding thing where veracity or truth, is offered for the consumer. So that's a big function that we do provide daily in VettedVA.
No, that's great. So we have a little bit of time left here. What I want to do, because I'm a big story guy, I love stories. I love hearing feel-good stories that made you, do what you do. So Catherine, I'm gonna let you lead this off here. Do you have any personal stories where you can just spend a minute or two on just kind of fulfilling what we're trying to do here and make it all worth it?
As far as,
do you have an experience, any type of story where it just made you feel good about what you did?
I mean,
in regards to veterans.
I've got tons. When I first met up with a couple of brokers and had them, gave them a chance, introduce them to some clients, and I'm like, hey, get your pre-approval through them, and then let's try these guys too, and let's see what we're doing here. Being able to save people money is huge for me. I was a command financial specialist when I was in the military. I was a command career counselor. So I am all about looking out for people and making sure that, what they're doing is smart or in their best interest. And when you can save people thousands of dollars, it makes me happy. And with VA loans, sometimes with the lender credits, we were able to pay thousands of dollars of debt, plus, they got a great rate too. It's like, oh my gosh, how do you beat that? You paid like $3,000 towards your credit card or car payment or closing cost assistance. And yeah, basically you got paid to buy a house. And I'm like, I love it.
So you're an overall person. I love that though. There's nothing wrong with that. No, it's good. It keeps you going. Absolutely love it. Chris, do you have any experiences? Give me a story. Give me something here.
I got lots of stories. I'll say a couple things real quick. The daily comments I see from veterans in VettedVA, compliments make me nervous. Like they make me uncomfortable. I'm better when you're just saying nasty or mean things to me, or right. It's just easier for me. The level of confidence that the veterans express in the community and how much it's helped them to accomplish their goals, even if it wasn't a professional directly that helped them. That's a daily thing at this point. And their comments are like, I'm reading them going, they're going to think if we paid for this, they're going to think we asked for it and paid for this. Like someone's thinking that right now because they're just that kind and awesome. I've got a lot of personal stories of helping vets. I don't want to talk about any of those. I think one of the cooler stories that I have is from Kimberly Kassam. And she was the first person that got a VettedVA hat, like gifted to her. But it was a vet that came to us. I won't give her last name. She's going to come out and make a video, she's promised, but Amanda's her first name. It was a vet that came to us, and she was just told that she was not going to be approved for a mortgage. She was 6 weeks into the process on single mom, couple kids, all of the regular debts that you would normally have, right? And her entire world 7 days before closing or 8 days before closing just crumbled. I mean, called me in tears, right? And this happens way more than y'all realize. People reach out to me because that happened because she saw someone else tag me in a group, Battle Buddies, I think USA, and then she came over to VettedVA and read some comments, built some trust, called me, tears, frustrated, stressed out. I've been there. I'm not gonna lie, I've been there. And like, what do? I wasn't licensed in the state that she was in, so reach out to one of my moderators and like, hey, here's where we're at. Here's what's going on. I want to do an introduction. And I'm describing the whole circumstance so she can understand how to handle it a little bit differently, how not to establish expectation too quickly, right? There's a lot of different fundamental things that you have to do cautiously in that moment, right? And so very quickly that day, it took about 2 hours actually, but Kimberly in-docked this vet, got an AUS approval, a 2-hour fighting through AUS, closed 7 days later within the closing time frame, saved her so much money on the cost and fees that she was able to pay off with that credit and some of the concessions about a $7,000 auto loan, I think, and got rid of the single mom's auto loan in the process while she still got her house. Like, that story and seeing how it played out over 8 days and where Amanda went from and to really quickly. Kimberly's a rock star, man. I'd go to war for her, but it matters. And the reality is, it may seem trivial to a lot of people that don't understand the power of a home. I use homes to make hundreds of thousands of dollars regularly. My first one, 332 to 810, 5.5 years. This one, 742 to 985 in 2 years. And it's going to go further too. I use houses to make money because you can do it tax-free with a couple up to $500,000, right? What else can you do that in? Homes should make you wealthy. Don't listen to me. Look at every piece of data that's out there. And so seeing how the professionals serve the veterans and get them into houses in good circumstances like that one, even with lower debts, less obligations, so that they're more likely to maintain that ground that they take. That's all I wanted. I wanted a place that did things right. And I was so bent about it in the beginning that I went after everybody. And a few people are like, well, that Christopher guy's a little hot under the collar. But the reality is, it matters. And if you're a professional, stutter. If you're a professional, that's how you know, by the way, when you hear me stutter, there's a point coming. If you're a professional out there, and I'll tell you this, and you don't think what you're doing matters, don't work with vets. Don't work with consumers. Get out of the business and go somewhere else. Go find something that you think matters, because if you don't think this one matters, you're a fool. It changed my life. I've seen it change countless people's lives. And here at VettedVA, that's how we approach it. And I won't apologize for my direct nature or verbiage in the process of pursuing that goal.
Fair. No, it's passionate. You got your message out there. Absolutely love it. Brian, do you have a story you can share with us?
Yeah, it's definitely quite a few. And I just real quick to dovetail off that, piggyback off of Chris there. It does matter. And no matter how tired you feel or how worn down you're feeling, or if you feel like you're just pushing paper, you are helping somebody with one of the most stressful transactions that they're ever going to deal with. For a lot of people, the only time they'll ever deal with it. And even though it's just one of our transactions throughout the week, that's the only one for them. And I think it's so important for us to help manage their stress and anxiety. I can't imagine what that mom was feeling that Chris was just talking about. 7 days before closing, in danger of losing your deposit, not having a place to live, you got your kids. So yeah, it absolutely matters. I went to school after my active duty time, and I was on track to go to med school. I had an acceptance to a school out of state. But what took me down that path was I was really took an interest in neuroscience, and I was studying, working in research labs and stuff, learning about traumatic brain injuries. And I was trying to go down a path specifically working with veterans. This was an emerging field after a lot of veterans coming across with IED blasts, concussions, or traumatic brain injuries. And there's not a whole lot of treatment options out there. So that's kind of the path I was going down. And I had an acceptance to a school out of state, but I also have 2 young kids, and that really complicated things as far as picking up the family and moving. And so while I was trying to apply to much more competitive schools, but closer to where we lived, that's whenever I got approached about coming over into this industry. And I didn't feel good about it, honestly, because I thought my perception was from pop culture, right? And not only that, now I'm taking a major fork in the road. Am I going to continue down this path of medicinal science, or am I going to go down and do finance and mortgages? And I was a little leery about it, but my wife brought up the point. She said, look, you were going down one path to help veterans. Think about it. People are always going to be buying homes. They're always going to be refinancing. You still have a way to help make an impact with people, making sure that they're getting the best deal possible and making sure they're not getting taken over. And I thought, that's a good point. That's kind of what got me in the door. But there's so many stories. I mean, there's one instance that I think of some clients. They came to me. They said, yeah, well, we tried to use the VA loan on our last house. They were looking to purchase, but we're not eligible for it. I said, what do you mean? And well, our last realtor and lender said we're not eligible for it. I said, bring in everything. Bring in all your military paperwork. Let's bring in everything, because from what you're telling me, you are eligible. And really, what it comes down to is ignorance. It came down to ignorance. These people have been living in a house for 5 years, paying mortgage insurance on a conventional loan when they could have been using their VA loan, but their last LO said you're not eligible because they either tried to get a certificate of eligibility and couldn't, or they just didn't want to do a VA loan. They just didn't know how to do it. I don't know. But I worked with them, and I sent in several pieces of information to the VA, and we got their certificate of eligibility. We got them into a house on their VA loan. And they were taken aback. And I think there's too many people out there that when they go shopping for a home, they think I need to go to my realtor first, right? That's kind of what, for whatever reason, society's accustomed us to do. It's like going to the warehouse trying to buy groceries and stuff, not realizing how much money you have in your bank account. So when they do that, then they go to their realtor, says, use this LO. I need you to, and they think they're working together as a team. So I have to use this person. And that's not the case. Or there's plenty of veterans out there that think I got to use my credit union, or I have to use this bank. They've always done right by me here. And it's absolutely not the case. When I tell people not only about some of the stories of the people we work with, but then I tell them about VA or VettedVA, then they think, well, what's that? I say, find the group, or I'll send you a link to the group. Come into the group, just use it as an information source. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard, I've learned so much just reading other people's comments. And that's, to me, that is making an impact. That's making the best impact that we could possibly have, is getting that right information, giving somebody this unbiased, unsolicited, factual information that we all are keeping an eye on as well. And if even a moderator puts information out there that may be a little questionable, then we'll self-correct. We want to make sure that the best information is getting out there, and we're keeping each other honest, and we're keeping honest with the veterans out there.
No, this has been great, guys. I first off appreciate all of you guys for your service. The information you give here, it shows how passionate you guys are about veterans, which I think is obviously warranted. Obviously, VettedVA is a great tool. It's a great platform to go off of, and for you brokers out there that are looking to become a VettedVA certified, you can always go to our AIME blog, and we have a little takeaway guide for mortgage brokers and how to get signed up. So, I'm going to cut it off here, guys. I could probably sit here all day and talk about this. It's great information. It's passionate information. And Catherine, you have something you'd like to say?
Yes. Before I forget, well, I think this is great information for everyone to have. When brokers are talking to veterans, please ask if their spouses are a veteran too. I was out house hunting with 3 different clients, and we're walking around, and they said something, and I'm like, were you prior military? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, Are you receiving disability? Yes. What? I'm like, this, okay, I just saved you like $7 grand right here in a VA funding. It's very important. And some of them don't even bother because, maybe they're stay-at-home moms or dads and they're not making any income. Well, that doesn't matter, so ask the questions,
Yeah, no, that's great information. Absolutely. We got to think about these things, and that's why it's important to put it out there. So great point, Catherine. So guys, I'm going to cut it off here. Once again, thank you for your time. I know we're all extremely busy right now. Thanks for being advocates for this. So Catherine, Chris, Brian, thanks for joining us on this Facebook Live. Happy Veterans Day, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.